Hi, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our election night watch party here with MRG Realty. Here at MRG Realty, we think it's important and crucial for you to exercise your right to vote. A lot of our young generation doesn't vote, so we want to spread out the word. We want you to join us while we watch this election cycle tonight. Come on in, stay tuned, and join us.
That have voted less and less Republicans over the years. One of them is just south of where I'm standing right now, Fayette County, Georgia. We'll keep a good eye on that county. The other thing that we're also going to be looking for is on the left, some concerns from Black men in particular about those economic issues, feeling that they have been left behind. I will say that those commercials that the former president has been running against the vice president, where it's saying that she cares more about they and them, those play well with those folks who are concerned about the economic issues that you just mentioned.
That is absolutely fascinating, and I'm writing down Fayette County, Georgia, as the first one that we will be watching as these early results start to roll in. Steve Osunsami, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. Thanks for being with us. All right, we go down to Texas, where, as you know, it's been solidly red for decades when it comes to presidential elections. But there's these changes in demographics and issues that are top of mind, and that is bringing some increased attention to down ballot races there as well. So I bring in ABC News' John Quinones, who's live for us in Dallas. And so, John, can you tell us a little bit about how you're analyzing these down ballot races and the issues that are driving them? Are they the same as the issues that we're seeing across this country of utmost importance: economy, abortion, immigration?
Absolutely. Yeah, the economy, immigration, the border, and of course, abortion. And the voting continues here for the next hour and 15 minutes or so. And the turnout has been pretty heavy. We're hearing that it's like 10 to 20% higher than the last presidential election. For years now, people have been saying that the red state of Texas is turning purple. And the fact is that Republicans have won carried Texas in each of the last 10 presidential elections. The last Democrat to win Texas was Jimmy Carter, and that was 48 years ago. The political landscape, as you mentioned, has been changing dramatically over the last few years. In 2016, Donald Trump won Texas by 9 points, and then in 2020, he beat Joe Biden here by less than 6 percentage points. After COVID, more than 2.5 million people moved here from places like New York and California, and they've moved to the big cities, to the suburbs. We're wondering how they will vote. And since that last presidential election, Latinos, more than 12 million of them here in the state of Texas, have become the state's largest ethnic group, more than non-Hispanic whites, and it's a very young voting bloc. So yes, Republicans have recently made inroads, Latinos have made inroads with the Republican Party, but you gotta wonder how Trump's anti-immigrant sentiments and those recent garbage comments by that comedian at Madison Square Garden will affect the Latino vote here this time.
No question, you point out something that we hear from voters in Montana as well, these transplants, if you will, who went to places like Texas to escape what they viewed as a failed Democratic policy. How will they turn out to vote on Election Day? I'd love to get specific with you, if we can, about this congressional race there. Colin Allred making a huge effort to unseat longtime incumbent Republican Senator Ted Cruz. We had Mike Muse on earlier, who said this is the Senate race he is watching the closest.
It is very tight. We don't have the results yet, not even an indication so far. But yes, he's a 41-year-old, three-term congressman from the Dallas area, the father of 2 boys, a 41-year-old Colin Allred, linebacker at Baylor University, and then with the Tennessee Titans. Senator Cruz has called him too liberal for Texas, but his own colleagues have said that Colin Allred is the most bipartisan person in Congress from Texas. So we'll see how he does tonight. There are high hopes that he will finally be able to unseat the Republican senator here.
Wouldn't that be something if they flipped that seat blue in there in Texas? Jack Quinones, thank you so much for being here with us today. And we have a lot more special coverage ahead here tonight of Election Night in America. As you know, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris both looking to win the White House. There you are, looking live in Derry, New Hampshire. Polls are set to close sort of soon in a few places, and we're going to get some results rolling in. So make sure you stay with ABC News Live.
Hey, Mario's president.
Yeah, Parker.
You're
I bought things with Texas list. Still think my theory's flimsy? Happy or sick or nothing? Presidential all new next Tuesday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Attention all units, possible elder abduction in progress.
Thursday. Suspect is on the roof, requesting backup.
2 daring rescues.
I love him in this trap.
He's about 20 feet down.
I'm scared.
1 new hero.
Someone's gonna go down there. I don't think you're gonna fit this time. Just one can.
I can do it. I'm his big brother.
We don't try this, we might not get to him in time.
911 returns Thursday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Hey, look, I'm so excited to host the CMA Awards again.
Nashville, here we go. Lady, what are you doing here?
I was going to say my awards with y'all. I think I can add something that I've never had before.
Like what?
Like humor, style, a little bell bottom flair.
I guess we do need you, lady.
That's the spirit. Y'all ready to do this?
I can pull off bell bottoms.
Sure you can, buddy.
Wednesday night.
Oh my God.
We're back with the biggest and best season yet.
The question is,
What would you do?
now on Wednesday nights on ABC. What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
We're part of an operation. Is this our kind of operation, sir?
We're approaching the gate. Wilton's came in from.
Hi, appreciate you.
It's my David.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
GU3. What you need to know. A third hour of DNA in the afternoon.
So just afternoon.
For everything you need to know.
I love that.
Me too.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News live.
I did terrible things. I hurt a lot of people.
I know who you are. Special.
What if God made me this way?
FX's American Sports Story. Aaron Hernandez. All new Tuesdays at 10 on FX. Stream on Hulu.
All right, it's Election Day in America, and no matter the outcome, history will be made. Vice President Harris could become the first woman to ever serve as president of the United States. Or if former President Trump is the winner, he would become the first person elected president after being convicted of a crime as well.
Hey guys, me and Mario are about to both go live. We're going to talk policies, politics. Join all of us. Live watch party and also podcast.
The greatest political comeback of all time. Joining me for more on this is Washington Post Associate Editor Mary Jordan. Mary, wonderful to see you again. And we know that almost every 4 years, we hear that this might be the most important election of your lifetime. However, there seems to be a ring of truth with this one. What makes this race so unique?
The anxiety we all have, the anger, that it's very different. You know, it's not like a Republican and Democrat. You know, you look back at other elections and you used to disagree on key policy issues or you didn't like the look of one guy. This is starkly different. We have
Hey, be gone now. Hey, how about you be gone now?
Tell all the people that you're done now. That Kamala Harris doesn't know anything. And that is called a low IQ person.
Low IQ person. She was called a low IQ person.
78. She's scored a 78.
Is this
it, dog.
This is the live.
This is it.
I thought we were going live on our phones.
Okay, we're doing everything, baby boy. We're already live here. We've
up,
been
guys?
live for 10 minutes. Okay. Hold on. Let me throw this.
Of all election coverage and NBC on election nights, we are responsible for essentially gathering all of the data that we use to analyze elections. And our primary responsibility is that we're on the verge of something.
All right, let's do this and then we'll go live real quick. Don't worry too much about like the background because I can add stuff in.
The big turning point was when Biden, who everyone thought was going to be our, the Biden.
It's a little too high. There you go.
Hey, all I know, dog, is
Talk to me.
This shirt is looking good.
This looks good already.
Okay. All of this is looking good. We just moved into the new office. Well, not just moved into the new office, but we've been talking about how we were going to kick off, what we were going to do to kick off the podcast again, to kick off. Hold on. Are we still
Having some technical difficulty, guys.
Nope, we're good.
Thank you for joining us. We want to bring attention to elections as a generation, the millennials, X, Zoomers. We don't tend to vote as much as I would say we call them the boomers, baby boomers. So I'm big on getting people out to vote. It is your constitutional duty as an American. And I strongly believe in that. As soon as I had the chance, when I turned 18, I voted in 2012. So when was the first time you voted, Mario?
The first time I voted was actually for Barack Obama. So I haven't always been on this side of the aisle. I at one point thought that Barack Obama was an agent of change. I did think that. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, believe that. And in 2008, I cast my vote for Barack Obama for the very first time. Before that was 2004, and I wasn't old enough. I wasn't 18 to vote yet. But in 2008, my first vote was for Barack Obama, the deporter in chief. So
yes, he was. He did deport. Actually, if you're about the border, he did deport more people than Trump did. Fun fact: a lot of people don't know that.
That's good. That's good. And the reason why, so I get it that everybody is arguing the fact of the fact that Trump is a horrible guy and divisive president and this and that. But if you just look at the trajectories, I want America, and I know the comeback is, 6 bankruptcies and this and that. All he was doing was taking advantage of the laws that were already set forth by the current regimes and the previous presidents. So he didn't do anything outside of the law, right? He did things within the law, which is what allowed him to declare the bankruptcies that he did declare. But once again, if you never try, you're never going to fail and you're never going to be successful. I can tell you a party or a side of the aisle or a candidate who has done nothing but live off of, the people of America. And it's time that the people of America take back control. That's what I think.
All right, I'll give you my rebuttal to that on Donald Trump. As I actually watched a video on Trump yesterday. I actually did my research on him. And you're right, he has had multiple endeavors when it comes to starting businesses, where it was the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. He actually started off with low-income housing and middle-class housing in Queens, and then he moved on to Manhattan. My issues with him when it comes to him being a savvy businessman is he has gotten loans when he wasn't supposed to get loans because he inflates and deflates his assets when it comes to his businesses. But the main thing is he is not a man of the people. And the reason I think that, and I know that, and a lot of people could tell you who actually gotten contracts for him ever since going back all the way from the 70s, 80s, 90s, is that he'll get people to do contracts for them, and then he won't pay those contractors. And since the contractors don't have as much money as Donald Trump does, what he'll do is he'll actually sue the contractors, even though he hasn't paid them, and he knows that they're not going to have enough capital to fight them in court for their money. So a lot of the time, these said contractors that have taken contracts for the Trump Taj Mahal or any kind of endeavor that he's done have gone bankrupt because of his bad practices.
Well, I get what you're
And
saying.
worse, I just don't want to say what else has happened on the street. But
Mhm.
that's my feedback when it comes to his savvy.
Hey, this is what I'm going to
practices.
say.
Now, when it comes to the economy and how strong the economy is, I'm not too sure if you're aware, but every president assumes the last president's economy. So when Donald Trump took over, he assumed Barack Obama's economy, and it was great. And then because of COVID, all the interest rates and everything, inflation went down significantly to try to boost up the economy.
Mhm.
He did little to address the economy. He kind of lost way more jobs than any other president has. If you want to go back to George Bush,
When did he lose the jobs?
Barack
During
Obama,
the time when
during COVID
during
and before
COVID,
COVID,
when
he didn't
people had
really
to shelter in
add.
place.
He didn't really add to the jobs that Barack Obama had added.
When people had to shelter in place is when he lost the most jobs.
But he didn't add since he took over the strong economy for Barack Obama. And this usually happens, guys, because I study history. Fun fact about me, I was going to school to be a history teacher for American history, but found out real estate's my calling, selling's my calling. I actually started selling for Verizon, but that's neither here nor there. Usually, this is going back till like the 90s. When you have a Republican president, they usually lose, and then a Democratic president takes over because they have a crash economy. This happened with George Sr. in the 90s. Bill Clinton took over, and he actually balanced our economy. This happened in 2008 when Barack Obama took over for George W. Bush. He crashed the economy. We had a recession. Barack Obama came in, and he took us out of that recession. And this yet again happened due to COVID and other factors. I would say the Trump tax cuts in 2017. And so then Joe Biden had to come in and try to stimulate the economy.
So basically what you're saying is when it's good is because of the Dems, when it's bad it's because of the reps.
It's not good. The Dems come and clean up the mess of the Republican president
I mean,
beforehand.
in theory, that's what you're saying.
That's the president that has happened.
What do you think of all the people that got fired or couldn't travel into or out of a country or couldn't travel by plane or things like that without a vaccination card?
Every company has their own rules. Like if you have a job, they have rules even right now for vaccinations. Some companies will check your vaccination card. The
So the
company
rule
is
was,
a private sector.
If
It's
you
not a
don't have
government
it,
job.
you get fired.
If you don't have it, you get fired. It's up to you if you want to get the vaccine. I am pro-vaccine, obviously. I got the vaccine myself, but I'm not the guy who's going to be like, hey, you have to get the vaccine.
Mhm.
That's not me.
But that's not you, but our elected officials were forcing it, right?
Not all. It's either not private sectors. You're talking about jobs now.
I'm
Jobs are
telling
private
you
sectors.
From experience.
Okay.
I personally, I was in the raffle for the Qatar World Cup. Okay, I was in the raffle, and everybody knows that to get one of these World Cup tickets, it's not an easy feat. And I was lucky enough to get it. But one of the big things that I had to turn in order to even board the plane was my vaccination card. So I had to rescind I had to, forfeit my ticket and miss out on that great experience.
Quick
But,
question for you is,
go ahead.
did Qatar put that regulation for you to go into their country? Because I know, being in the military,
Mhm.
when you're in the military and you get stationed somewhere else, be it, let's say, South Korea, Afghanistan, before you go into that country, you have to get vaccinations before you go in. So that seemed to me like it was a rule from Qatar.
It was not from Qatar.
Who
It
put
was
that
from
rule?
FIFA. It was a FIFA rule from
Okay.
everybody that was traveling worldwide.
So that was a private sector, right? FIFA is not a country. FIFA
Correct.
is a
Correct.
organization.
Correct.
And they have their own rules and they make
Mhm.
up their own rules.
But I'm talking about my personal experience, right?
Gotcha.
But when it comes to there was a pilot strike because they were forcing them, right?
Mhm.
Everybody in the military was forced to take the vaccine or get discharged. Am I correct?
I wasn't in the vaccine I wasn't in the military at the time when COVID vaccine, but I can tell you with experience that
Simple
getting
yes or no. It
vaccines
doesn't have to have
usually in
huge-
the military they line you up like cattle when you're in basic
Mhm.
training, and they stick you with all kinds of vaccines. So getting the vaccine every year, you get the flu vaccine. You don't have a choice. You get you're part of the military.
So
You're
people
gonna
are
get
being
whatever they tell you.
forced to get the vaccine.
That's the military. They always
But
get forced to get
20
the vaccines.
million illegals is okay to come in without a vaccine. That's okay. It's not okay for me to go to church, and it's not okay for me to
Does
go
the church
to,
make their own rules?
In parts, but they were, of course, through the government being persuaded one way or another, right?
Okay.
So it's not okay for me for an American citizen to see one of their dying family members. That's not okay. But it is okay for 20 million illegals to cross over and just seek asylum here. Of course, in the swing states, not in. So
Is Texas a swing state?
It's not a swing state.
Is it a big border state?
What happened to all the illegals in Eagle Pass, Texas? What happened when they started migrating? What did the governor of Texas do automatically?
He started buzzing people out, which
where to?
Technically to blue states, to sanctuary cities, as you would call them, where you don't have to report
To
people
where
ICE.
basically where Kamala lives,
Now,
and that was not okay, right?
When people, I mean,
The
that's
state of emergency,
That's
if
what
I recall, was declared.
That's what the
automatically.
governor of Texas decided to do.
Automatically,
He did it.
a state of emergency was declared over
By
in
whom?
Martha's Vineyard.
By whom?
By the government there.
The state of emergency was declared a long time because we were in
Mhm.
COVID. Now, with these immigrants were coming in, what did Trump do? Because Trump was in power when COVID was going on. What did he do?
What did he do? Tell me.
He
you
shut
know
the border
better
down. He shut the border down. He put measure 18 or something like that. If you get what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And they weren't letting anybody in. And then when you come in here, of course we want you to get the vaccine if you want to get the vaccine. But I thought you were against forcing people to get the vaccine. So why do you care about immigrants getting the vaccine if you're anti-vaccination?
I'm anti-vaccination, but so number one, I'm not anti-vaccination. I am
Anti-COVID vaccination. But if you didn't get it, you don't care about getting the vaccine, right? This is my
I care
point.
about people being forced to be able to go to their job. They were forced to take the vaccine.
That's the rule from their job.
But in order to flood the cities of our flood the streets of our cities, you don't have to be forced to get a vaccine.
Okay. Again, who comes up with those rules? It's the job people who have the jobs. It's up to them if they want to get the vaccine or not.
Mhm.
You didn't get the vaccine, but you want to make a big deal of these immigrants getting the vaccine. So that doesn't correlate. See how that doesn't correlate? Because you shouldn't care
No,
about the vaccine.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm
But
saying
my main thing
people
is
were being forced to get the vaccine in order to
by
remain
whom?
regular
By the
life.
government or by their
Correct.
jobs?
By both.
Private sector, right?
Both the government
Private
and their
sector.
jobs.
What government official came up to you and said you had to get
Not
it?
to me. Well, I mean, here in El Paso,
Here in El Paso,
yes,
to you.
Judge Samaniego was shutting everything down, and the
Shutting everything down when COVID was going crazy. When COVID was going crazy and people were
when
dying
the
and
flu
hospitals
was
were
going
full.
crazy.
When see again, you don't believe in COVID, but then you have a problem with immigrants coming in without getting the COVID vaccine. So
I have a problem with
so
immigrants
you don't
coming
think
in. Period.
COVID exists, but you want to make a big deal that immigrants who came in and seeked asylum didn't get the COVID vaccine for something that you don't believe in.
Mhm.
So you just want to. The main thing is you don't want immigrants to come in here and seek asylum. You don't believe in that.
I want legal migration,
That's
not illegal migration.
That's a great thing. I do want legal migration as well. So my thing is, this is my thing, because I'm going to talk policy now. In December, a Republican senator in the Senate came up with a bipartisan border bill. Okay, bipartisan means that both the Democrats and the Republicans came up with it. It was the most conservative border bill that we've come up with in a long time. Okay, addressing the migration system. What they were going to do, they were going to add way more judges to process the asylum cases faster, because usually when you come here, you seek asylum, they give you a court case, it takes about a year or whatever, right? So they were going to add more judges to address the asylum seekers. They were going to add more Border Patrol agents so that they could address the border issue better, and they were going to give them more money. Also, they were going to give the power to the president to automatically close the border. They didn't have to have Section 18 because of COVID. They were going to give them permission to close the border at any moment that he wanted to. They voted for it in the Senate. It went to Congress, which is the House of Representatives. And Donald Trump, your leader, you're the person that's running for the Republican nomination, told them not to vote for this bipartisan border bill that was the strictest border bill that anybody has come up with in a while. Again, a Republican senator came up with it. He
Mhm.
told them to not vote for it because he wanted to run on the border. He said, "Don't pass it." He's on video saying this. Don't pass it because then I can't run on the border. So,
Was the
so
border
to
the
me,
only thing on this bill, or was there hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine on this same bill? On the
okay,
same bill.
So they just called Indiana, but
Oh, they just called Indiana
yeah,
for
they just called Indiana. Red state, we're more focused on the swing states, guys.
course.
My main thing is it was the biggest bill that was going to get passed on the border, and they strictly voted it down because you want to run on something instead of fixing it. And this is my issue with the Republicans.
So we're just gonna we're gonna overlook the fact that $200
I love
billion
that there's
were
two
being
parties.
sent to
The Congress
Ukraine.
comes up with that, and the Senate comes up with that. Republicans,
once
the-
again,
both
when
the
it's doing
Republicans-
good, it's the blue. When
No,
it's
no,
doing
no.
bad,
It's
the
both.
red.
It's bipartisan.
Mhm.
It's bipartisan. That means both parties voted for it. And my thing is, you guys want to run on an issue and not fix the issue. You guys rather run on an issue and let it be messed up instead of fixing on it. That's why he told them to not vote for it. This actually happened. He's on video and saying that. What is your rebuttal towards that? Is it just that it also had Ukrainian aid or something in it?
There was more Ukrainian aid than border bill part of it.
So
There was more Ukrainian aid in this bill. There was more aid to Ukraine than there was border policy or border fixing. Period.
Gotcha.
That's why it was shot down.
At that point, because I just brought up those 4 key things, right? Adding more judges for processing.
Trump didn't kill the Senate border security deal.
No, yeah, he did. He did. He's on video saying it.
Yeah, but
He told Mike Johnson to not he told Mike Johnson not to pass it. So my thing is, when you're writing bills, you can make amendments to the bills, and they could have easily taken out that Ukraine thing that you don't like. They do this all the time. They take stuff out and they put stuff in. And they didn't do that. They just unilaterally shut it down because, again, Republicans want to run on an issue and not fix it.
And it wasn't nearly
That's my main thing.
It was only 4 Republicans that voted.
Now, my thing, what do you want to ask me besides COVID? We talked about the
I want
border.
to ask why you hate America so much.
I don't hate America. As a matter of fact, I love America. I have been voting since I had the ability to, and I served my country as soon as I had a chance. So just so everybody knows, when I was in high school, my sophomore year, I decided to join the military, and I did the split up program. This is a program where you could join the army when you're a junior in high school. That summer, you leave to boot camp, you come back and finish your senior year, and then you do AIT, which is your military training for your job. It's called the split up program. I joined as soon as I was 17 years old. So I was a sophomore at that time, junior sophomore at that time. And I had to go Army Reserves because of that program. Now, once you do a contract in the Army, I thought I could easily go active duty once I got out of high school. But once you have a contract for 8 years as a reserves, at the time there wasn't a big war. It wasn't as big, so they didn't let me go active duty. But I did serve 10 years in the military. So somebody who actually loves the country and believes in democracy, I serve my country.
The mockery that you made of democracy. Good
democracy.
job. So, guys, we're going to continue. We're going to be talking about issues like this all night long. We're going to try to stay here until we have. Hey, get in the shot. Get in the shot, dog.
But this is how it is, guys.
Yeah, we're going to try and stay in here. And of course, guys, remember, hey, pull that up. Put it over there. Put it all the way. This right here, and then put a little thumbtack over there. Dog. Boom. There you go. There you go, baby boy. All right, guys. So we're gonna be here all evening. You guys can feel free to come by the office if you know where the office is. I mean, we're not hiding except from. Let me shed light to this now that we're here. There's this crazy guy who is texting all the ladies. Now it's all the ladies. During the week, it was all the gentlemen from the brokerage, but he's texting all the ladies and scaring them. It's stupid. He's a fucking douche. His name is Michael Lee Vargas. Michael, no, this is my face. I'm not scared of you. Fonso's not scared of you. Nobody here is scared of you. But guys, we are here at the office. Come by. We're just going to be shooting the shit. We're going to be watching the election results. I believe Indiana
went.
Indiana was just called by Trump.
That is a red
called
state.
to Trump.
let's explain the way the Electoral College works so that everybody knows. So here in the U.S., we have the popular vote for everything except the presidency. The presidency is the Electoral College. It's been like this since the U.S. was established in the First Continental Congress. The way it works is winner takes all. So like if you have more votes in Texas, which we're in, you're going to get all their Electoral College votes. This goes based every state gets 3 electoral votes, and then they get extra electoral college votes depending on the size of the state. Okay, so the reason there's some more important states than others is that there's technically states that are going to be red normally all the time. There's going to be blue states that are going to be blue all the time, but there's those purple states. Those are what we call
Swing states.
Swing states. They could either go red, they could either go blue. And those are the states that they're trying to win so that they can win the election. First person to get to 270 electoral college votes wins the election. Those swing states are Arizona, Nevada, Georgia right now. It actually went blue last time. North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota. If I'm missing one, let me know.
I don't think Minnesota is. I think there's only 7.
Minnesota's blue, right?
Yeah, Minnesota's blue.
Okay.
10 on 10.
I think but those are the swing states, guys. That's how you win the election. Yes, we have a guest, yes, sir.
And like I said, we're going to be going in and out of this feed all evening long. So this is going to be rolling, and it's going to be either myself, Alfonso, and whoever comes by today. We're just having some fun here at the MRG office, exercising our right to vote, both Democrat and Republican. Of course, Alfonso knows he's going to get a ton of shit, but he still comes by. He still represents for his party. And then it is no secret who I am voting for. People ask me not to be so loud and not to be so endorsing on social media. But after watching last night's Elon Musk video, it is imperative that we still have polls close at 7 here, right?
7 here.
We still have an hour and 45 minutes to go. Well, 6 p.m. on the east side, 7 p.m. in some locations, but we still have time to vote. Just get in line, people. Vote, 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 vote like your life depended on it, because it does. If these swing states turn blue, this will be the last election that we will have. He's just going to laugh, but it is true. If the swing states turn blue, there will be no need for a future election. Why? Because it will be a one-party nation, which will be the Democratic Party if the states turn blue. We need to get out there and vote. We need to exercise our right to vote. Men, get out and vote. Women, get out and vote. And yes, women, unlike what you're being told in the propaganda, listen to your husband, listen to your head of household, and vote for Donald J. Trump. Make America great again.
Gotcha, guys. Let me rebuttal that. No, this won't be the last election.
Hey, I was like, let's call the closing things.
That won't be the last election if the Democratic Party wins, just because you will always have the ability with Kamala. Nah. Wait, let me rebuttal. You will always have the ability. We believe in democracy, since we didn't try to overthrow democracy last time. We will always respect your right to vote against us, for us. We will not, like the other candidate says, that he wants to shoot the other people's media. He's against free speech. He wants to lock up his opponents. He's already said he wants to do a lot of things and get rid of a lot of officials that don't agree with him. Look up what Project 2025 is. When it comes here to the state of Texas, when it comes to women's rights, this is a big issue. This is a big issue because women are dying who simply have miscarriages, ectopic pregnancies, or different things. There's recently a woman who passed away who was 18, who was pregnant, and she was actually a Trump supporter, and she passed away because doctors were too afraid to do anything when it comes to saving her life. So vote, guys. Your vote counts. We're going to win again. And when we win again, they're going to cry that it was stolen. That's all I got to say. Let's go over here.
Hey, my turn to rebuttal your garbage.
Rebuttal it.
Hey, garbage. Keyword garbage. Guys, don't listen to Alfonso. Fuentes for that matter. Remember, guys, were you better off in a Trump presidency? I will tell you, I bought more homes under Trump than I ever did under Biden. I bought more fucking houses under Trump that we ever did under Biden. Good Lord, I don't even know what to say. We're going to make it happen, guys. Trump 2024. Gonna win. We're gonna win. We're gonna take it back. And more than anything, I think the Republicans are the party of the worker. Let's work. Like, that's all I care about. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. Again, the price of everything has gone up. The price of gas is up. Everything. Let's fucking go kick Alfonso's ass. Come on. Follow me. I know it is.
Hey, when you say they still got to call in the mail-in ballots, here comes the curve.
Boom.
Here comes the unbelievable curve.
So,
hey, how much was it?
check this out. So,
Last time, 120,000 votes for
in the middle of the night.
In the middle, but not one for Trump.
Not one.
Hey, we're gonna win for three straight years, three straight elections in a row.
So look, take a look at this, Alfonso. November 8th, 2020.
So guys, put it over here. Put it here.
Jim Nelly.
We'll be right back.
No, look at it. Alfonso. November 8th, 2020. Gasoline was $1.09 or $2.10 per gallon. Okay. Interest rates were 2.5% for a 30-year mortgage. The stock market closed at 28,000. But then again, you talk about facts, right? Facts.
Yes.
Facts.
Yes.
Okay, the Dow Jones closed at 28,000.
Yes.
Fucking our GDP growth for the third quarter was 32%. We had the best economy ever until COVID.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, of course. Oh, Alfonso doesn't agree, so therefore, no, we didn't.
From New York City and across the country.
But gasoline, my boy, gasoline was $1.09.
That's a great thing. What happens when everybody is
live election night
and they're not buying gas? They stay home
team
and they
is
don't drive as
assembled.
much,
We are
so
back for
production
another
went down.
presidential race
For
and
gas.
we're prepared for very long
So that brought
hours
prices
right
down
here
because
all
everybody
year
was
long.
home. We were in
We're getting some
COVID.
new numbers in from Georgia, of course, which is a key battleground state. And this is where it stands right now. Pretty close race. Kamala Harris 48.5, Donald Trump 51%. Obviously, just 3% of the vote in, but that 3%, Rick, has been somewhat telling. And I wanted to tell our viewers at home. Here's one of the reasons why I hope you'll stick with ABC tonight, because Rick has got an incredible benchmark tool to tell us where Donald Trump needs to be in a particular county or where Kamala Harris needs to be, no matter at what point in the night we are, to be having a good night in that particular county.
Can't wait for Megan Thee Stallion.
Give us an example of how we're going to track this.
Yeah, so most of the data is in India, and what we're seeing is in one county just outside of Atlanta, Douglas County, it's only about 1% of the
Catch
votes
Garcia,
overall.
Hope Cohen, who says the N-word about her daughter dating dating a black person.
You can see how that compares to Joe Biden.
Come on, now we can both do this stupid shit.
And this
No,
is
but only when it's
It's dumb.
beneficial.
This is
Wait, this is what I want to hear.
They ran the numbers for every county in America and calculated what would it take for each candidate to perform in a county in a way that they would be able to win the state. That benchmark says she needs to be getting around 62% in Douglas County. She's up there at 66%. Similar story just east of Atlanta, Rockdale County. Again, a small county. We're not talking about a lot of votes, but she's running 6 points ahead of that 538 benchmark. And once again, 6 points ahead of where Joe Biden ran. This is mostly early vote. That's about the kind of turnout that we're expecting in terms of early vote. And of course, lots of the states still to go, but Atlanta
Put it back over there, no way. No, let's leave it here for a little bit. Let's have a little green room time.
And you just mentioned this, but let's drill down. What kind of vote are we looking at so far? This is the early vote before even today?
Yeah, so this is in Georgia, 75%, about 3/4 of the vote is estimated to be before election day. We talked about the record in-person early vote, and among those voters, we're seeing Trump actually with a slight edge, powered by the rural counties that so far have come in. We don't have a lot of data so far, and some of the ones we don't have to focus high on. But again, because some of these smaller counties are reporting early, you start to see some patterns, some trends emerge, and we'll see how this plays with Fayette County, another one where she's running significantly ahead of the benchmark. The number's small, but that's something we're going to be watching all night.
It's really fascinating. Again, this is the mirage we were talking about 4 years ago, but the mirage could look much different this time around, again, because the Trump campaign really encouraged Republican supporters to get out there, and they listened, they did. It's been quite impressive, the numbers they were able to put up in the early vote, but then you've got to wait to see day of, and you're going to be trained really on the Atlanta metro area as well to see if the Harris campaign was at all successful today in trying to get their numbers up.
That's exactly right. That is where she needs to win this race. It's where any Democrat would. It's a pattern across the country. Urban areas have gotten bluer in the age of Donald Trump, and rural areas have gotten redder. So he is going to be looking to places well outside of there, smaller counties, but places where he is going to be winning 2-1, sometimes even more, 3-1. This is a 50 points, 50, 40 points, 80 points right now very early in this.
Go back to Brandley real quick right there. Just let's see the benchmark. Where does he need to be? Does he need to be at 90%?
He sure does.
We're gonna order some pizzas or what?
But this is the kind of place where he has to absolutely clean up. So
all right, guys, we're about to order some pizzas.
4% in now. We got a ways to go there in the state of Georgia. Lindsay Davis, you've been looking at the exit polls from Georgia, though, and the voters there have spoken their minds.
In Georgia on our mind, as always, and take a look. Quite a difference from what we saw in the national trend when it comes to the most important issues when deciding your vote. While nationally, we saw the state of democracy, #1, that's taking second here. Economy, 40%. So nearly half of those voters were driven with regard to the economy when it came to their vote. State of democracy second, followed by abortion with 14%, and then immigration, again, foreign policy fifth by quite a distance. Now, remember that phone call that Donald Trump made, that hour-long phone call to Secretary of State Raffensperger in 2020, when he famously said, I just need you to find me 11,780 more votes. What's interesting is when these, again, preliminary exit polls, but as far as the confident the election conducted fairly and accurately for 2024, 81% confident in Georgia that it is, which is significant. Another big number we're going to be looking at all throughout the night, women. So far, again, just preliminary, but 54% of the voters in Georgia, females, and they are breaking 53% for Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, 46%. Now, I just want to give you a little bit of perspective here. 2020, Biden actually was up by 1 point when it came to the female voters in Georgia compared to where Harris is, and Donald Trump is actually up 1 point with female voters. But again, this could change throughout the night.
So Biden performed better with women in Georgia, at least this early in the night.
That is correct, just by 1 percentage point.
All right, Lindsay Davis, our thanks to you. And again, the last time a Democrat won the state of Georgia was Bill Clinton back in 1992, and President Biden 4 years ago. And as Lindsay pointed out, that became the famous phone call that we heard so much about, 11,000 votes when the former president said, can you just find me those 11,000 folks, votes, people who've gone to the polls. And Secretary of State Raffensperger is going to love seeing that preliminary exit poll, that people have confidence in the system because he's been out there and very public on this.
It's very significant because quite often we have heard that idea of people trying to undermine the election integrity. But I will say throughout the last few nights, we've talked to secretaries of state throughout the country who are all saying business as usual, people should be prepared that the process is playing out.
All right, 26 minutes past the hour. When we come back, Lindsay, thank you. We're closing in on 7:30. Polls are about to close in the North Carolina battleground state with its 16 electoral votes. So again, we're already tracking Georgia. In just about 4 minutes here, all eyes will be on North Carolina as the first numbers come in. Stay with ABC News. We're just getting started tonight. Back in a moment.
When we come back, polls close in North Carolina, Ohio, and West Virginia as millions of Americans cast their votes. We're live across the country on ABC.
Attention teachers, no child is to be sent to the principal's office today. Kids, if you want to do crimes, now's the time. Happy birthday in school.
Y'all know there's some wings and pizza from Speedy? I'll pay for it.
I'ma call your
Go ahead.
mother. Bring your ass back here,
Hey,
boy.
my wife's gonna come maybe this week.
Try
If you want. Hey, what's coming too? Huh?
Hey, just so you know, I haven't trained for a couple of months. I'm scared to not. Hey, I was scared. Or maybe I have a really bad mix. You want fuck! Let's go! Hey, I just look, if you can land spot, it can be close, it can be fucking stolen. I don't know where. You can tell me like that. Either you lose or you win. I'm gonna respect the results of the election. It's easy for you to say, look at your candidate. She's badass. She's better than yours. Name me 3 accomplishments. Chips and Science Act. Make sure we're done with that. No infrastructure bill. Nope. They also tried to wait. They also tried to pass a $50 minimum wage. They wanted to shut it down. They also tried to.
You hear that? A $50 minimum wage?
How about this? Yeah, he's the $20.
Hey, how about you raise your ability to work?
When we raise the minimum wage, it'll raise everybody else's wages. Come on, we need a female presence here. You're here. Hey, that's the game. You can have one, dog. Get too saucy.
Yeah, so you can't get too saucy.
We'll be back.
Hey, put some CNN on. No, but we can get CNN in there, bro.
Is an ABC News special, Election Night in America. Who will be the next president of the United States? From ABC News headquarters in New York, here again, David Meeker.
Welcome back to ABC News Live Election Night coverage. Now 7:30 p.m. here in the East. Polls have now closed in 3 more states tonight, including another key battleground state, North Carolina, with its 16 electoral votes up for grabs. Our polls have just closed there. The moment we get numbers on this board, we'll go right back to it. As we mentioned earlier, Donald Trump has spent a lot of time in North Carolina in these final days of the campaign. We're also still watching the battleground state of Georgia. That closed about a half an hour ago now, and the numbers coming in there. Donald Trump taking a pretty sizable lead. Again, just 8% of the vote coming in. And the moment we have more, we'll come back to that as well. We do have something that we can report now, and that is for West Virginia. Donald Trump has picked up the state of West Virginia and its 4 electoral votes. Trump won there by 39%, 39 points in 2020. This was expected now officially in Trump's category. Ohio tonight, 17 electoral votes. Used to be a battleground state. Now it is likely GOP going into these presidential races become much more red.
All right, guys, they just did West Virginia. That is one of the red states that is projected to go for him. We're looking for the swing states.
Take a look at the map. This is where things stand tonight. Again, this is the race to 270. You likely know what that's all about, the Electoral College. And as you can see right there, Kamala Harris has won 1 state tonight, 3 electoral votes on the way to 270. Donald Trump, 23 electoral votes. He's picked up 3 states here on the way to 270. And we do have one more of our first key Senate races. We're tracking the Senate as well and control of the Senate at the end of the night. Take a look. You can see Jim Justice, the governor of West Virginia. He will fill the open seat. Senator Joe Manchin, who was Democrat, became an independent as of late, retiring after 2 full terms in the Senate. Jim Justice will now represent West Virginia. I want to get rid of Rachel Scott. She covers Congress, Capitol Hill. Rachel, as we know, in the Senate, all eyes on how many seats. They only need to pick up 2, the Republicans, to take back control of the Senate. Here's their first pickup. And again, this is the number at the end of the night, so there could be surprises elsewhere. But a lot of eyes on Sherrod Brown in Ohio and John Tester in Montana. These are both states that Donald Trump won handily. and they're trying to defend their seats.
Yeah, and Senator Joe Manchin, who decided not to run for re-election, gave Democrats a whole lot of headaches when President Biden during that first administration, his first couple of months in there. But the biggest one is probably this one right here, because it almost ensured that this seat was going to go toward Republicans, already netting one right now. David, you said it. They have to net two by the end of tonight. Also keeping our eye on Ohio and Montana. These are both states that Donald Trump won. You have the last two statewide Democrats, and both Montana and Ohio. You have Sherrod Brown in Ohio. You have John Tester in Montana. We're doing very tight races. And David, I just want to remind our viewers here, we're going to be keeping our eye on this all night, but this is the current makeup of the Senate. Democrats have 51 seats. Republicans have 49. Democrats playing a lot more defense tonight. They're defending 23 seats. Republicans only have to net two by the end of the night to take a majority.
Or one, right? If Donald Trump wins, because then the VP has the tie-breaking vote.
Exactly. The cleanest path to victory will be just two, but we can net one to take the White House.
And they picked up one already. Let's swing over to Rick Klein at his board there. In Georgia, we have some new numbers coming in from Georgia.
Yeah, we're starting to see a little bit more rolling. We still have most of the vote out. Well, still about 90% of the vote still to come. But I am clued into some of the Republican parts of the state, because you're starting to see the numbers roll up for Donald Trump as expected, ahead of his benchmark in a county like Greene. Yeah, these are smaller counties, but that's how things get pieced together. We're still waiting on most of the vote in Atlanta and its immediate suburbs, but you're seeing that pattern emerge where some of the bluer parts are just backing up more Democratic votes. In some of the swing counties, we're going to be keeping an eye on to see how these numbers shift throughout the night. They haven't moved very much yet, but it's still early in Georgia.
And how about Florida? I know the Harris campaign was not counting on Florida. That used to be a battleground state as well. Now leans Republican, and Donald Trump's doing quite well.
Yeah, we don't have enough information to project the state, but with about 2/3 of the vote in right now, we are seeing a Republican romp in some formerly Democratic parts of the state. This is really striking. Miami-Dade County, that used to be a place where Democrats did very well. Hillary Clinton, even though she lost in 2016, she got almost 64% of the vote in that county. Harris so far only at 44%. That is way, way below where she needs to be. Not a contested state. Won't be a surprise if this ends up in Trump's column. But even in more Democratic parts of the state, we're seeing Harris run behind Biden's numbers and significantly behind the kind of numbers she would need in parts of the state like that if she were to win. Look at Orlando, another good example. Harris, a couple of points below Joe Biden's number. And again, Biden's number wasn't good enough to win the state of Florida.
Really interesting. How does the Harris campaign explain that?
Well, I think they certainly weren't ever thought they were going to win Florida. But I will say, the campaign is often quick to note. When you talk about Florida, there's often such a large conversation about the Latino vote, Hispanic vote. They are quick to note that what you see in Florida, understandably, doesn't translate to those populations in other must-win states. It seems obvious, but it's worth repeating that what motivates Latinos and Hispanic voters in Florida is not the same as the issues that are top of mind in a place like Arizona and Nevada.
And the Harris campaign has actually cautioned political reporters not to look at Florida and try to extrapolate for the rest of the night. But to be performing under levels of Joe Biden is still something that they've got to be a little concerned about. I want to get to Whit Johnson. He's covering the campaign as well for us tonight. He's at Trump headquarters, and they've got to be happy with what they're seeing so far in Georgia.
Yeah, David, exactly. I actually spoke with a Trump advisor a short time ago, and he said they're very encouraged by what they're seeing in Georgia and North Carolina. Specifically, this advisor told me that rural voter turnout in Georgia is through the roof. That's what he said. And that's something that they definitely need to continue if he wants to take Georgia. In North Carolina, as Rick was pointing out earlier, the Trump campaign really seeing some encouraging signs with that early vote, saying that Republicans for the first time in state history outpaced Democrats in the early vote. But then there's still the question of independents, which way they will go, and the question of whether these are new Republican voters or Republican voters who would have come out on election day, but were encouraged to come out early. So it remains to be seen how all of that will play out, but certainly some encouraging signs that the Trump campaign is pointing to. As for the president himself, he is hunkering down at Mar-a-Lago. We're told that he hasn't had much sleep. He had a busy 24 hours barnstorming some battlegrounds.
Yes, he did.
Michigan, flew to Florida, voted here this morning, and at Mar-a-Lago, even still, we're told that he's working.
So what's up, guys?
He's calling campaign.
We just ordered some food, ordered some
calling
pizzas.
into radio stations.
We're going to be going as long as we have to until they call the election. Make America great again. Got the Democrat over there.
Big donors and family, people like Elon Musk. We're told if he decides to
particularly.
What's up, Fernie?
One of the examples they gave me was in Boone
Can you hear me now?
Indiana. He's trending
I
down
unmuted
more
it. So
than numbers as he
the
was.
reason we decided that this was so important was just to get the word out for people to vote. We need people to vote. Vote, vote, vote. Vote, vote. Republican, Democrat. Hopefully you vote for the party that best aligns with your views. And as you can tell, I am a Republican. I voted for Donald J. Trump, and I am not afraid to say it. This
I
guy
voted for
here,
Kamala Harris, and I'm not afraid to say it.
He voted
I
for
also
Kamala.
voted for Barack Obama, and I voted for Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden.
you see? So voting is a pillar of our democracy, and the more we educate younger people,
Let me address that.
Go ahead.
When it comes to the generations and voting, well, the reason we're doing this is because the baby boomers, right? They vote way more than we do. When it comes to millennials, the Gen X that was before our generation, the Zoomers, we don't vote as much as the baby boomers do. So we need to change that. We want to spread the word. We want to spread why it's important to do your constitutional duty to vote in elections.
And part of the reason why we're talking about this, guys, is I want just to shed a little bit of light. And if you didn't know, now you do. George Washington was 44 years old when he took command of the American Army. Thomas Jefferson was 33 years old when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. John Adams was only 40 years old when he argued for American independence. James Madison, 36 years old. Alexander Hamilton, 21 years old. James Monroe, 18 years old. Politics was clearly a young man's game. Politics was clearly a young man's game until we let it go. So now, as a young adult, well, as an adult, I am doing my civic duty to inform as many people to go out and vote. To go out and vote.
Turnout that they are seeing there, that it continues to look strong, especially with Puerto Rican voters in that area. And we know there's been a lot of conversation about that and the way they reacted and felt about the comments from that comedian at Donald Trump's last rally at Madison Square Garden. And this campaign continues to feel that rally really will be a turning point, and they believe it will drive the state's large Puerto Rican population towards Kamala Harris.
We'll see where the night stands at the end of the night. Let's get back over to Rick Klein. Rick, in looking at Georgia, I know more of the vote is in.
Yeah.
I presume a number of these votes come from the rural counties that are starting to drive up Donald Trump's quite significant lead at this point, 10% of the vote in. But just looking at the board, where are these votes coming from?
Yeah, it is the rural parts of the state. A lot of these counties don't have nearly as many residents. Trump hitting his marks in some, not hitting his marks in others. As we mentioned, a couple of the suburban counties in just outside Atlanta, there are places that Harris is outperforming Joe Biden at this hour. I don't want to scare people with this graphic, but we got a lot of vote left. Those big blue dots, that means there's a ton of Democratic vote in that part of the state. We're going to have to wait for that to come in. But we have been tracking some interesting things with the early vote so far. Because it isn't coming in from every state, this gives you a snapshot of the rural returns, a 2-to-1 margin so far in the early vote, because of where it is in from, not because of the overall early vote.
Always important to know where the votes are actually coming in, which explains the differential right there. 62% to 36%. Again, very early, 10% of the vote in. And as Rick points out, early vote for many of the rural counties. Let's get out to Steve Osunsami. He covers Georgia for us. He actually lives there in Georgia, knows it better than any of us here in the studio. And you talked to Secretary of State Raffensperger, Steve. He's happy with the turnout today and how things are going?
Yes, the Secretary of State says that he's seeing about 1.2 estimated voters today. He's very happy with how things have been going. There are, of course, the concerns about those sort of fake bomb warnings that were sent from the Russians to poll workers in Fulton County. That was a bit of concern. Some of those polls were allowed to stay open just a little later to account for the time that those polls had to be closed while they were doing a sweep of those locations just to be safe, to make sure that that people are safe in those polls. We sat down with him a few weeks ago and talked about some of the issues that we've been talking about today, about the confidence in the election here, especially after what happened 4 years ago, the concerns that many voters have had that led to a number of laws that affected the way that we vote here in Georgia. And he was confident that people would feel that this would be using his words, a clean election. And it's very interesting to look at some of those data points from the exit polling that suggests that people on both sides of the aisle sort of feel that there is some confidence in the election here. And so that, of course, is a win for the Secretary of State. I want to underline something that Rick has been pointing out, and that is that I too have been talking with officials here in the Trump campaign who have been pointing out that when you look at the highest turnout so far, when you look at the turnout percentages across the state of Georgia, the counties that lead the way are deep red counties, some as high as 70%, which is absolutely incredible. The only issue there, of course, is that most of the people who live in this state live in the metro counties in what has now become a very blue part of Georgia. And of course, we're waiting to see those votes still come in tonight.
Steve Osatsami live in Atlanta for us. Steve, thanks so much. And as Steve was talking about, perhaps maybe he didn't see the Rick Klein map with the blob on the map. That was the most exciting thing Donna Brazile has seen all night. That big blue circle around the Atlanta metro area, which means a lot of the vote still needs to be counted in Atlanta. Speaking of Donna Brazile, Reince Priebus, Governor Chris Christie, they're all here.
Hey, what's up, guys? Remember, it is the first to 270. Right now, the votes coming in on the East Coast. It's going to take a while for the votes to be counted, especially on the bigger states. We'll see how everything's going. When it comes to the popular vote, there's a little bit of a difference, especially on the eastern states. But once blue states come in, we'll see. This might not be decided today. It might be decided on Wednesday or Thursday. But stay tuned. We have a lot of debates. We have a lot of things going on. We'll call states. We're about to get pizza. And just join us. Whether you're blue or red, you're an American. Go and vote and watch the elections because it's important. You want to say
Senate
something?
tonight. Right now, we're watching a live feed of the Senate. I mean, of course, the road to 270, we have Trump 23-3. Vermont has been the only state called for Trump. Nationwide, right now, just leading. You have Trump with 7 million, a little over 7 million votes, the general public, and Harris at 5.7 million of the popular vote. So there's a difference of about 1.3 million votes swinging to the Trump side. Okay. Luckily, from what it looks like, the females decided to listen to their husbands, or as the Democrats would put.
Not in
the
Georgia. There's
propaganda,
actually more female vote in Georgia
listen to
for
your
Harris.
husband. Don't
Also, the reason the popular vote is skewed right now is because we haven't got East Coast votes in.
West Coast votes.
West Coast, sorry about that. You know what I'm saying?
I got
West
you,
Coast
Claire.
votes, California, Oregon, all those states, they need to come in. I really want to pay attention to the swing states, guys, because that's what matters.
Who do you think is going to win Pennsylvania, Alfonso, and why?
Pennsylvania is very close, okay? Donald Trump won it in 2016. Joe Biden won it in 2020. Right now, it's very close. A lot of what I think is going to determine this election in a lot of the swing states is whenever you win an election, you got to win your party's vote. You got to win independents. And you also got to win over some of the other parties' votes. So when it comes to me, the rally in Madison Square Garden, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania right now. They got very pissed off about that. Also, there's a lot of women, even if they're Republican, that are voting for Harris. And there's a lot of people who I don't want to hear your opinions on January 6th. Some people like it, some people agree with it, some people don't. Some people say it was an inside job. There's a lot of Republicans who voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020, but after January 6th, they cannot support him. So that is my opinion. I think it's going to be a very close race in Pennsylvania. But I think Harris is going to win, but anything can happen. There's nothing assured when it comes to this vote.
I hope the people of Pennsylvania understand the meaning of this image right here. This image right here, which was a clear assassination and a clear attempt to take away our democracy. And people are on the left are going to say that it's because of the rhetoric that Donald Trump has been spreading. No, it's because of these, from what I see, and everybody looks at politics from their personal opinion and their personal perspective, right? But what I see is that the values of the right align more with myself, with the family that I'm working on, with my children, with everything. The right just aligns more with the values that I believe in. Okay. And the values that Donald Trump believes in are values that I am aligning with for this particular presidential election. I am not saying Donald Trump is a perfect man. By any means am I saying that. But what I am saying is that given our two choices, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump is the clear choice.
Clear choice to them when it comes to what he's talking about. Democratic Party also believes in families. When it comes to his rebuttaling his original point, I believe that if you spread hateful rhetoric since 2016 to a bunch of marginalized communities, even your own party, the first assassin, if you might, was actually a registered Republican. His family was a registered Republican. He was a Republican voter who came out on a BlackRock commercial. So again, if you put hate out there, do not be surprised when you get hate back. I want to also point out that as soon as both assassination attempts happened, both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris reached out to Donald Trump to make sure he was okay. There you go. Hey, we'll be right back.
So once the assassination attempt failed, everyone reached out to see if he was okay.
They did. They totally did. Donald Trump.
Hey, this guy loves Donald Trump so much. Look at his hair. He's trying to be Trump.
Cody Rhodes.
He's trying to be Trump.
Wait,
We'll
wait,
lend him the hat.
Let me
Here,
tell a story.
Put on the hat. Put on the hat, baby boy. Oh, he's gonna go pick up the pizzas. I'm gonna mute you guys for a little bit. Guys, joining us live in the stream is my son. Look at this. Look at this beautiful looking thing. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, somebody look at this. So, tell us who you're voting for.
Trump.
For who?
Trump.
Why are you voting for Donald Trump?
Because Trump will not bomb other states.
Other countries.
And
Sure. Yeah, change it. So, we're just getting started here. My family just got here. I know JC and his family are on his way. We're here at the office. If you don't know where the office is, shoot me a text. I'll give you the address. That way you can come by. We just ordered some food. We're gonna have some drinks. We're about to change it over to Fox or CBS. Oh, hey, 282,000 watching, dog.
They did in 2020 because we are not in a
And
pandemic.
we're just surrounded by everyone that wanted to support this movement. Like I said, we're supporting both. We're supporting the Republicans and Donald Trump in this movement. You have people like Alfonso that are supporting the Democrats and Kamala Harris in this movement. But there is some unity here. Guys, come by, visit us, and let's make history tonight by taking our country back.
Was a pro
History bit.
Is in Atlanta. And Nicole, what are you hearing about?
All right, guys.
It's unmuted.
No, I unmuted it. Quick thing. All right. If Donald Trump does win today, he will be the only president besides Grover Cleveland to be a non-consecutive president. If he does win today. History in the making. I'm a history major. I love U.S. history. So you'll be like Grover Cleveland. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, guys. I just wanted to give you that history lesson. 1, 2. All right, guys, we're back. We're about to do a sign off. Everybody's with their families right now. Everybody's eating pizza. And we're having a good time. I mean, Harris just caught up by quite a bit of electoral college votes. What's the count right now?
So right now we're at 120 versus 99. So Trump still has a 21-point electoral college lead. However, we just saw that it was 120 to 27, and just like this, it turned. So if you're out in the lines and you're still waiting to vote, hold the line, guys. Hold the line until you finish voting. Cast your vote. Cast your vote. Republicans are known for coming out in large numbers on election day. So we
Democrats are known for early votes and mail-in ballots.
Mail-in ballots. Anyway, yeah, they're really known for the mail-in ballots, guys. So remember, we took the early vote this year. Okay, Republicans came out in strong numbers and outvoted their Democratic counterparts. Okay, so that means that the people waiting in line right now are there to vote Trump. They're there to vote red. I'm not saying it's not going to all of a sudden be like last year where 200,000, or last election where 200,000 people all of a sudden voted blue and nobody voted red. No, that's not how it's going to be. We have a chance to win. We have a chance to win. This is the election that matters the most.
All right, guys. In some states, that's a fact. The Republicans did come out a little bit more in the early vote, but in majority of states, Democrats always come out with the early vote. This is a close election, guys. I mean, I'm sweating a little bit. I'll be honest with you. It's very close. It's very different from 2020. Some margins are there. All I gotta say is I'm excited. Whatever happens, happens. I'm glad that people are voting. I'm glad that people are using their constitutional rights to vote. All I gotta say is we're here to sign off. Hopefully, Kamala, in my estimate, hopefully Kamala wins. If Trump wins, history. He's gonna be the second president besides Grover Cleveland to win non-consecutive terms. So that'll be great. Other than that, democracy wins today, guys. Cody Rhodes here. Sorry.
Democracy will win today once Donald J. Trump is elected. For the third time, the people of America will have spoken for the third time. Okay?
We'll see.
All right.
All we got to say is Alfonso Fuentes signing off, Democrat on deck, and
make America great again, baby. Let's go, Donald J. Trump.
Let's go real estate. Let's sell houses. Tell us where you saw.